One of the most controversial things that I talk about on this channel, and especially on TikTok, is scripting your documentary. I find it hilarious because everybody always says the same exact thing. If you're scripting your documentary, then it's not a documentary, it's reality TV. But what you're not understanding is that almost every single documentary that you see has a script or at least a treatment. Now, that's not every single documentary, but the majority of them do. That doesn't mean that you're feeding lines to your subjects or telling them exactly what to say. However, think of your documentary script like a guide. It's supposed to be there to help you shape your story. It's not a rule that you have to strictly abide by or to put words into your characters' mouths. Having a documentary script, believe it or not, will help you save time, money, and allow you to overall be more efficient than if you were to just grab your camera, run out your house, and go film something. And the only reason why I know this is because I've done that. I went out and I followed people for weeks at a time, and I got back to the editing room and I'm like, yeah, maybe 20% of this works. The rest is all garbage. The rest is useless. So today we're going to talk about how to write an effective documentary script that actually helps you tell better stories and finish your films. Before we get into talking about writing a script, there's a few very important things that you should do first. Number one is define your story in 1 or 2 sentences. The truth is if you can't do this, then your story is too complicated. Let's take my docuseries Law of the Goat, for example. This is a story about a gym that has become a breeding ground for young and up-and-coming fighters. This series will follow them on their journey to become the greatest of all time. Simple. 2 sentences that tells you exactly what this series is about. If you can do that, if you can sum up your story in just 1 or 2 sentences, then that's a good indication that you have something that's digestible and easy to pitch. The second thing that I always suggest is doing pre-interviews with your subjects. This will allow you to get to know them and ask them questions about their life and their journey and what they're trying to accomplish. My advice is to do this with as many characters in your documentary as possible. That way you get to know them and their role in the overall story. Once you have all of this done, now you're ready to start your script. There's literally no way you're going to be able to predict the outcome of this documentary, but the goal is to give your best guess as to where you think this story could go. So coming back to my docuseries Law of the Goat, I would start my script by introducing some of the characters and how their lives are intertwined with each other. For your documentary, maybe it's where the main character started their journey, or talking about their childhood, or the catalyst that got them to embark on this journey in the first place. Law of the Goat is a dreamer's story. This is about fighters putting it all on the line and sacrificing everything to obtain their dream. It's important to think about the theme of your story. What is the main human emotion that you're trying to showcase? And think about how you're going to write that into the first act of your film. Once I have the main characters established and we've set the stage for the world that our audience is going to be in, we then need to introduce the conflict. And this could be where your character faces their biggest adversity. For Law of the Goat, this could be an injury or maybe even one of the fighters losing, and then you start to have your first problem. In your story, you might have a very obvious problem that you introduce, or you might have to create this illusion for this adversity or exaggerate it. My suggestion is to figure out what your character's problem is, or what you think it could be, and how you think they would respond to this. How would this problem affect them? And remember, we're writing a script based on what we think and how we perceive the situation is going to be and pan out. But the truth is that all of this has to be subject to change because they might not react the way you think. They might encounter an entirely different problem than what you're writing, and that's okay. You just have to remember that these are the basic ideas that are going to take you through the different steps of this journey. So try to remember that you have to be flexible. Now that we've introduced the conflict, it's time for our character to start taking action. How are they fighting back? You need to highlight the showdown between your main character and their enemy, or the emotion, or whatever problem this whole thing has been leading up to. They need to be able to go toe to toe and have this battle. That's what you need to showcase in this third act. Is it a competition that's been something that we've been building up for? Or are they on the precipice of catching the criminal in your true crime documentary? Whatever it is that your character's up against, they eventually have to go toe to toe, and that needs to be written in your script. And again, it might change. It might be something that you think is going to happen, and it might be something completely different, but at least you know the story beats and how it's going to get there. And the final thing that you script is the outcome of this battle. And just as I said before, you take your best guess of what you think is gonna happen and you play it out in your head. Now, let's just say, for example, one of the fighters that I'm documenting, I have an ending that he wins, but he actually loses. Well, you have two options. Number one, you flip the script and you still interview all the same people, and instead of it being a happy ending, it's more of an ending that's real and maybe left on a sad note. Or that could be the big adversity that you've been waiting for that you could actually follow up with. And that's something that I've actually gone through, and a great example of how you can be flexible in your storytelling and in your script writing. And remember that everything that you're scripting, everything that you're writing down could still be used. You just have to frame it differently. You have to be moldable and shapeable and flexible to tell this story. What I like to do with the ending is come full circle with the theme of the story. What is that universal human emotion that you nod to in the end? For me and Law of the Goat, a fighter winning or losing doesn't affect the fact that this is a dreamer's story. And sometimes dreams don't come true. And if it does, then it's a beautiful story. But if it doesn't, it's still a great story worth telling. So try to ask yourself, what is the emotion that you're trying to showcase? Last week, I put out a poll trying to figure out the kind of content that you guys are struggling with. And by far, the most requested content was storytelling. And honestly, I was pleasantly surprised because I really didn't think that this was something that you guys are interested in. And I'm glad, because this is by far the most important aspect of filmmaking, is figuring out how to tell good universal stories. And I'm totally aware that this video might not get a ton of views, and I'm fully aware that script writing and writing in general could be boring for your average filmmaker. But it is a very important aspect of filmmaking and one that needs to be paid attention to. I also asked you guys last week, and I'm going to continue to ask you guys through the weeks ahead on my documentary videos, what would you guys like to learn in a documentary course? More than anything, I want to know from you guys, what are the things that you need to be able to tell better stories and finish your documentaries? And, you know, a lot of you guys on that poll put storytelling, and I'm very glad about that. But if you guys can, drop in the comments down below specific things that you would like in this documentary course. I really want to know, and I really want to add that and implement that into this course and give you guys something of value that actually works specifically for you. So I'd like to thank you guys for watching this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Deuces.